Once upon a time, I was just programming like a fiend, getting stuff done. Someone said, you should be using version control. I was like, I back up my computer every night. I can always get back to my previous versions. And one day, programming away, saving, stuff's working great. Add some more stuff, stuff's working great. Keep going. 2 hours later, I realize, I should have done this a totally different way. And my undo buffer does not go back 4,000 changes. How do I get back to how it was an hour ago? Maybe the first hour's worth of work I want to keep. Second hour, though, is garbage. Well, shucks, I'm in a pickle. Had I been using version control, I would not be in a pickle. Or at least would be in a sweet pickle instead of a dill pickle. Has this ever happened to you? I'm working with someone else on a piece of code. Perhaps this hasn't happened to you yet, but it will. You'll be on a team. And I want to make sure they know when I make a change. So I just email them every time I make a change. Or, we have Slack these days. I just put in a new Slack message every time I make a change. Well, maybe I do that so much that no one's paying attention to my messages. And if they want to know later what I did, well, gosh, they'd have to scroll through so much stuff. And a month later, when they run across a piece of code and they're like, well, where did this come from? And why? Why did they do this? Maybe there's a very good reason, but I want to know who did it and why. Scroll through a bunch of Slack history, search through your email. That's lousy. Hey, if we'd been using version control, every time I made a change that mattered, I would have committed it with a nice message telling exactly why. And they could have found it really easily. Has this ever happened to you? You made a change, you think it works great, so you push it up to the production server. Now it's live. Then the emails start coming in from customers, and they're like, oh, and you realize, holy crap, I had a mistake in there, I broke everything. That's okay, we'll just put it back to the version that worked. Shucks, that version doesn't exist anymore. I should have been using version control. Version control, we like it? Do you get why it's good? So we happen to settle on Git for this. Git's really nice. It's very popular these days. I highly recommend it. But how does Git work? What the heck are we doing when we run commands like add and commit and push anyway? What's happening? Well, here's a quick diagram on how Git works in general. Why is my cursor not doing the thing? Why are you being a jerk? Well, whatever. Here we go. Our entire Git repo lives on our machine. The current state of your folder, with all your changes, whether you've run git add or not, that is all your working directory. If I were to run git status right now, nothing to commit. Working tree clean. So there's nothing in my working directory that isn't already committed. That's what it's telling me. If I start making some changes, blah, 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 save, and I hit git status, now I see changes not staged for commit, blah, blah, blah. That means that these changes are in my working directory. They are not anywhere in the actual repository. Git doesn't know about them yet. It just knows I've done some crap that I haven't told it about yet. So those changes are in my working directory. If I want to add them to the repository, I need to add them. And when I add them, they're now part of the index. They're part of Git's index, or the staging area, which contains the stuff that would be committed if you were to commit at that point. So I could say git add, and you could add one file at a time. The very first time we used it, that's how we did it. So I could say index.js, or if I want everything that's changed, git add dot representing current directory. Now if I say git status, changes to be committed includes index.js. Because my add moved those changes from the working directory to the actual index or staging area inside Git. Now Git knows about them. It's tracking them. If I make a little tiny, let's make a little tiny window here just so there's something. I still can't use that. Weird. What if I keep making changes? Blah, 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 blah. Now what's the deal? Did I add those changes? I've already added that file. But when I hit add, I was just adding the changes that I had made at that point. Those changes are in the index. But what I just did is not. So if I run git status, now I see changes to be committed, the stuff that I've staged right here, and changes not staged for commit. Again, index.js. So some of the changes in that file are ready to be committed and some aren't. When you run git add, it adds the changes in your working tree at that point to the index. Any further changes you make before you commit are not automatically staged. I would need to run git add again if I want those. Yay. Now, obviously, these changes are not so good. I don't actually want them. If I want to unstage them, see, I think it actually tells you when you run status. Changes to be committed. Use git reset head to unstage. Git reset head. If I just want to undo the one file, I can then say index.js. If I don't, I can just say reset head. Now, if I do a git status, it's back to not being staged for commit. But my changes are still there. My reset didn't blow my work away. It just unstaged it. Now it's not in the index anymore. It's back in my working directory. If you don't want to fill your head with stuff like reset, don't worry about it. I need to do it because I really didn't want to stage that stuff. If I want to get rid of this altogether, if I want to get rid of everything that I've done since my last commit, I could use git stash. Now, my working directory is back to being clean, and those changes are no longer in the file. But notice what it says: saved working directory and index state, blah, 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 blah. Nice thing about stash, I can still get back to my stash if I really, really need to. In this case, I don't want to, but if I did, I could say git stash apply. And now those changes are back. But I didn't actually want to do that anyway. Yeah.
Can you use stash for specific files, or is it a full thing type of deal?
Let's see. Let's get these changes back in here. Let's make some garbage changes to index.html as well. Can I stash a particular file? Like git stash index.js. Not like that. Yeah, not just like that. You could stage some of them and stash the rest or something. So Point of this is not to teach you about stash and reset. Just since I do have to do that to get back to what I wanted, I am telling you about them. But the point is, what does add actually do? So whatever the current state of things is, that's the working directory. After you run add, that is staged to be committed. You don't have to commit immediately. You could keep working, but any further changes you make aren't automatically added to the staging area. You would need to add them again if you want those to be part of the commit. So once they are staged, then commit will actually add them to your history. Person stats. Our first JavaScript project. Or the first JavaScript project for Extern Bootcamp 2017, Session 3. Do a get status right now. It's just in the working tree. If I want to add it to Git's index, I use git add. Now it's there. To get from there to my actual history, git commit. And we know we always put a message in when we do that. Should you forget, some of you have probably done this already, if you forget to put that, it'll open up your text editor, and you can just type the message right here. Add a description to the README. Just put it on that first line. Then when you save this file and close that editor window, it'll do it. Hopefully it opens code or something you're happy with instead of Vim, which might confuse the heck out of you. The instructions for that are part of the setup, so hopefully you did that. When you do the Git setup, at the bottom, you ran these two things, which told Git who you are, and then you said that your editor for commit messages is code. And this -- wait means that Git will wait to do the commit until after you close the window. Now all of this is still happening on our local machine, right? To sync with GitHub, GitHub is a remote. Those two commands that we copy and paste from GitHub, the first one is git add remote, or git remote add, excuse me. And then you name the remote. We named it origin, which is the most common name, but that could be anything. There's nothing magic about the name origin. And that just happened to be GitHub. And then once that's there, we could push to it. So push moves your local history to one of your remotes. We could have other remotes too. Now you have to tell it which remote you want to push to. And that was the second line that we copied and pasted from GitHub. It said git push -u origin master. That -u means from now on, that's where I'm pushing unless I tell you otherwise. So from then on, we can just say git push and it knows where to go. You can make a whole bunch of commits before you push. You can make 5 in a row and then just push at the end of that. And it'll look exactly the same at the end. But until you push, everything's just on your laptop. So I made a new commit, but I hadn't pushed it. And now I have.
On that diagram, you talked about that you can add, but not, and then and not commit, but then you can just keep writing the code. Is there a real point behind doing that? You have to just add it again once you're done. So
If you're going to always use just git add dot, then I mean you may as well wait until you're sure you want to commit. But sometimes I'll make changes and I'm ready to commit some of them and not others. Maybe because I realized, oh, okay, this thing I started to do, that's sort of a different task from this other stuff. So I'm going to commit this as one commit and give that a separate name, a separate message from this stuff. So I only want to stage part of it. Yeah.
If you, like, for larger projects, if you had, like, a folder for all your JS and CSS,
Mhm.
for example,
Mhm.
probably, so, like, you get done with your styling and you wanted to add that entire folder, is it, like, what's the command for the entire folder?
You know, I'm not sure I've actually done that exact thing. I suspect you could say git add and then the name of the folder, and it would add that whole folder. I'm pretty sure, because that's how you see it listed when you do a git status. Right. So just a quick git overview.